Hi everybody, welcome back. Paleo Cooking Live today. I wanted to show you this chef toque. This is a traditional hat that chefs wear in the kitchen, and there's something very special about these hats that most people don't know. There's all these little pleats, and every pleat represents a different way to cook an egg. There's supposed to be 100 pleats, which means that a chef should be able to cook an egg 100 ways. I would wear this today, but it's a little big. Anyway, here's what I used to look like when I was in the kitchen all the time, right? And the taller the hat, the more important or higher up in the kitchen the chef is. So that's a little fun fact. You know, we eat so many eggs on Whole30 that I thought it would be fun to show you some egg recipes today. We get a little sort of stuck in our, day-to-day scrambled eggs, hard-boiled eggs, things like that. So I'm gonna give some eggs a little fun twist and see if it doesn't work for you. So the first thing that I'm gonna show you is a shakshuka. Shakshuka is a traditional Middle Eastern breakfast which has gained a lot of popularity lately as a dinner item. But I'm gonna show you how to put one together, my version of it, and how to make it tailored to whatever you want to do. This is the Casandrinas olive oil, of course. You know how much I love this, and I'm using my induction burner today, which has gotten very hot already. So yes, that oil is shimmering. I've already sauteed some onions and yellow peppers, so I'm just gonna add those to the pan to heat up, and I know it's gonna be loud. Sorry, I'll try and raise my voice so you can hear me over all the sizzling. And look at this special sauce that I just got from Automat. Automat is tomato backwards. This gentleman, Andrew Suzuka, is a dad and the founder of this company, and he decided that he needed healthier things for his daughter to eat, and he developed this sauce. Comes in lots of different flavors, but this one, take a look at that label. It's Tina's special sauce. How lucky am I that he sent me this? So, a traditional shakshuka is gonna be tomato sauce or some diced tomatoes. I'm gonna use my special sauce today, and I'm just gonna add about a cup. This is for one egg. If you wanted to make a lot of shakshuka for a family, then use a big skillet and add as many eggs as you like. And then I'll show you how we scoop them out. Now, because this sauce is so rich and thick, I'm gonna add a little bone broth just to kind of help the consistency a little bit. And I think you can see how nicely this is reducing already. All those vegetables are coming together. You could add meat to this if you want, a sausage, let's say like a chorizo or a merguez lamb sausage if you wanted to keep it really Mediterranean. And then here I have a half a teaspoon of cumin and a half a teaspoon of smoked paprika. Throw those in because I really like those flavors, and they really lend to the whole Mediterranean feel of the dish. Now, you know how I like to stir and shake. So we're taking the sauce that kind of crawled up onto the top edges of the pan and stirring to make sure everything is really nice and combined, and then give it a little shake. And now all you have to do is break an egg into the center. And if you're gonna do more than one egg, you can place them around. And the egg is just gonna cook right into this tomato sauce. But we're gonna give it a little help and put it in the oven. So this is going into a preheated 375-degree oven for about 5 to 7 minutes, depending on your oven. You want the white to be set and the yellow to still be nice and soft. I'll be right back. I'm gonna put this in the oven. So I'm just gonna let that go ahead and bake in the oven. Again, it's a 375-degree oven. And While I'm letting that bake, I'm gonna show you a quick way to do a bone broth in a somewhat traditional Greek style, but this is gonna be kind of a shortcut. I'm gonna get some chicken broth and I'll be right back. This is a little saucepan with 2 cups of chicken bone broth, okay? Very simple. I've just kind of had it preheating so you can, I'm just gonna put this pan away and get my next ingredients out. So this has been preheating a little bit. Just kind of bring it to a boil on the stove. And then what I have here are 2 eggs slightly beaten. Just gonna beat those up a little bit more. What happens when you add an egg to anything hot? It's going to coagulate, right? So in Italian, it's called stracciatella. In Chinese, it's called egg drop soup. We're trying to not create those striations with the eggs. We want the eggs to get nice and, emulsified into the sauce. And function, power, there we go. This is live, folks, and the induction burners decided not to cooperate. But it is hot enough. Ooh, it's really hot, perfect. So let's do this. I'll slide that out of the way, and I'm gonna show you, since I have these eggs already somewhat beaten, I'm gonna temper the eggs with a little bit of the bone broth. It's already hot. And all we're trying to do is bring the eggs up to temperature. So when we add them to the hot stock, when we add it back in, they don't scramble. We don't want scrambled eggs. We do in some cases, like egg drop soup and things like that, but not this time. So I'm just kind of touching the side of the bowl to see if it's getting warm, and it feels warm. So now I can just stir this whole thing right back into this chicken broth. Now, so many times, we talk about eating bone broth, and we just love our bone broth. It's so good for gut health. It's a great way to get a healthy fat, to get collagen, and all of those wonderful things. See how that just kind of got nice and thick and rich already? This is an awesome way to get your bone broth without necessarily having to, just drink it straight, and it gives it a nice flavor. I've got a little granulated garlic here if I wanted to throw just a little touch of that in. Not for the garlic flavor, but just to give a little more savoriness to the chicken broth. And then last but not least, avgo lemono in Greek means avgo, egg, and lemoni, lemon. So I'm gonna add some fresh squeezed lemon juice. This is about 2 ounces of fresh squeezed lemon juice into those 2 cups of chicken stock. I like kettle and fire bone broth. It's organic. I know that they process it properly without a lot of additives. So really, I'm just stirring this to make sure that the eggs are completely emulsified, and it's done. Now, the traditional Greek avgolemono soup is gonna have the chicken stock made from scratch with the mirepoix, which is gonna be onion, carrot, celery, chicken bones, pieces of chicken, and then you'll tear apart the chicken and add the shredded chicken. It typically has some kind of rice or orzo pasta, which we're not doing because we're staying away from grains if we're Whole30. And all of that goes in. It's an all-day process. This is my cheater version, and my mother would probably not agree, but she's not here. So there's my yummy avgolemono soup. It's delish. I actually had a cup of this for breakfast. Don't think about breakfast as a meal. Think about it as meal 1. And then you can have anything. Throw this in your coffee mug and take it with you to the office or wherever you happen to be working these days. It's delicious and nutritious. And we all know how much we love that. Okay, let me check on those eggs and I'll be right back. And this looks perfect. You can see how the egg is nice and cooked, but the yellow is still just a little jiggly. All that sauce got nice and bubbly and the vegetables got nice and brown. If there was meat in here, that would be a nice touch as well. And most of the time, traditionally, this is served over pita bread, but since we're not doing gluten, I'm just gonna scoop it out onto this delicious bed of arugula. If you have spinach and arugula or any other kind of lettuce or greens, feel free to use that. If you want to put it on cauliflower rice and you have some cauliflower rice cooked, feel free to do that. So this is just gonna get scooped up. And if you're doing a large pan with several, say for yourself and your spouse or partner or your family, just scoop it out just like this, right over the lettuce or whatever you want to use for your base. Add another little scoop of that sauce. And I love to add some fresh basil. Picked some basil from my yard this morning. And I've probably showed you this trick before, but I'll show it to you again. Just stack up the basil leaves, all kind of in the same direction. Roll them up and keep your fingers out of the way. Just go through it in skinny little slices. And that is a chiffonade of basil, like confetti, to just sprinkle all over the top of your dish. It gives it a wonderful punch of flavor. And there's a way to eat an egg that maybe you didn't think of before. Again, breakfast, dinner, you choose. I'm gonna have that for lunch too. Next, I'm gonna show you, oh, as long as my burner works, some egg foo young. Let me go grab the ingredients. Since I'm gonna be frying these, do you know anything about induction burners? Let me give you a little hint. Induction burners are magnetic, so they heat based on the connection, the magnetic connection. If you don't have a pan that is magnetized, it's not gonna heat up on an induction burner. So what I'm doing here is I've already had the pan heating just for time's sake because you guys don't want to watch me heat up pans. And then I just kind of move it over to this burner. The pan is magnetic on the bottom, so it's going to continue to heat up while I put these ingredients together for you. This is something that I was inspired. I'm a super fan of Nom Nom Paleo. I love her. And these are a great thing to make in advance and kind of have as a grab and go breakfast. So first of all, I have 3 eggs here. I'm doing half a recipe, but the recipe that's going to be on the website would call for 6. And I'm just going to beat these up a little bit. And then I have a little bit of fish sauce and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Just going to add that to the eggs. And then I have 3 tablespoons. It's going to be, I've got 2 tablespoons. It's going to be a 1/4 cup of coconut flour. This is the coconut flour I've been buying lately. It's from Thrive Market. It's a great price. If you're not familiar with Thrive Market, it's like the Amazon of your favorite natural grocer, and they deliver everything to your house in 2 days, and you get great savings on things like this that you may or may not find in your local grocery store. So give them a try. The link is on my website. So I'm just gonna add the coconut flour. The coconut flour helps give it some body and make them more like a pancake. I'm just gonna stir that in. The other thing that I had in with the baking powder, it was baking soda, not baking powder, in with the coconut flour. And I'm just beating this together so that it's not too lumpy. And then I drained a bag of spinach. This is frozen spinach. I actually prefer to use fresh spinach and saute it, and this is why. This is a 16-ounce bag of spinach, and by the time I cooked it down and drained out all the water, it's a little over 5 ounces. The recipe calls for 10 ounces, so you would need 2 bags of 16 ounces of spinach. And you'd probably have to do something similar for fresh spinach, but you wouldn't have to worry about the water content. So I'm just gonna stir those in with a spatula. Now that we've got the eggs all combined. And I sauteed a little sausage. You can add any meat you like. I just have some crumbled browned sausage that doesn't have any added sugar or additives, no nitrates or nitrites. And it's a very just, you know, easy type of sausage. And you can see how this batter is nice and thick. So when you put it in the hot oil, it's not gonna run. The last thing I'm gonna do is just chop up a little scallion. And we're just gonna mince it up really fine. Just about 1 scallion with the white parts. I'm gonna fold that in. Now you've heard me talk about portion scoops before. I love my portion scoops. When I was a pastry chef, we used portion scoops for everything. That's how you get nice, even shaped cookies, and your yield on your recipes comes out really good and all that sort of thing. And this is a portion scoop. You guys know what these look like, right? From your ice cream shops and whatnot. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put one of these into the hot oil so you can see. And I'm just kind of flattening it with the back of the scoop to make a patty, okay? Oh goodness, there we go. And you just let those sit until they start to sizzle. Flatten them out a little bit, give them a nice shape, because you're gonna have these in the fridge. You can heat them in the microwave, you can eat them cold, you can take them with you in the car, you can pack them in the kids' lunches if they're going to school, and it works out to be a great snack. Or breakfast, or lunch. You can use those as slices of bread instead of slices of bread, and put a little meat in the middle if you make vegetarian, and they make a nice sandwich. And then I always love to top with the sriracha. So that's a delicious way to do that. I'm gonna let those cook, and we're gonna move on to the last thing, which is hard-boiled eggs. Hard-boiled eggs are one of those things that people can either master or not, you know, ever get right. But here's my trick. I'm not gonna show you today because I've shown you on past videos, but essentially you just put the eggs into a saucepan covered with water, bring it to a full rolling boil. You want this to be rolling. Turn the heat off, cover it with a tight-fitting lid, and set the timer for 8 minutes. At the end of those 8 minutes, rinse the eggs off with cold water, and that's it. The eggs are done. They're the perfect yellow inside. They don't have that gray edge. The white is a nice consistency. And now you have however many hard-boiled eggs you like to cook, and you can add them to egg salad, to any green salad, slice them up, put them on sweet potato toast, anything like that that you want to have around prepared for your Whole30. It's a great way to just have them ready. I'm going to grab what I'm going to show you is called green eggs and ham. So I still have everything wrapped here because I like to keep the eggs nice and moist. I've already pre-cooked some hard-boiled eggs, and I cut them in half. And the fun thing with this is, you probably heard me talk about this before. When my daughter was little, she still loves deviled eggs. So I told her one time to cut the eggs in half, and she cut them like little bowl shapes instead of through the lengthwise. And she didn't know. She was just, you know, maybe 4 years old. She was just starting to, you know, get some knife skills. So I thought it was really cute. And ever since then, we've been doing that. We just cut off the one flat end, you know, so they sit flat and they're cute and just a little different presentation. And then in this bowl, I went ahead and added the yolks. The recipe online calls for 6 eggs. I'm doing 3. So I have the yolks in here, and my favorite utensil is the fork. Just gonna mash them up so you can see how they're just coming together. And then I'm gonna add a tablespoon of mustard. This is a coarse Dijon from Noble Made. New Primal makes amazing flavored everything, their barbecue sauce. I'm just gonna do 1 tablespoon of mustard. And this is a Dijon-less mustard, so you don't have to worry about alcohol when you're doing your Whole30. Just kind of stir that in. And whenever I'm making something that I want to have a really smooth consistency, I always start with the thickest or most dense thing, and then I go to the thinnest. So in order of going in the bowl, I started with the yolks, I added the mustard. Now I'm gonna add an avocado. I have a half an avocado here already pitted. My stove is flipping out on me. I'm gonna have to unplug that. Sorry folks, this is live. What are you gonna do? So now I'm just gonna scoop out after I cut through it. I'm just using the fork, no big deal. And scoop out the avocado, just like that. Get it all out. And I'm gonna mash that in. So you can see now it's starting to make a paste. And this is why I call it green eggs and ham, because the avocado makes it look green. And then lastly, I'm gonna stir in a half cup of mayonnaise. And again, this recipe is on the website. It's one of my oldies but goodies. It's been on there for a long time. So feel free to go on the website, Living Delicious Nutrition, and look it up. And I like the tines of the fork for really making sure everything is mashed in. If you're doing a larger batch, you could put it on a mixer or in a food processor if you want to get it really smooth. I don't like to get a lot of stuff dirty when I'm just making stuff for the week and it's not for anything fancy. It's just for the family or just for me to have in the fridge ready to go. Because grab and go is a really important thing. I work from home and I still forget to have lunch sometimes. I get all caught up in what I'm doing for the day, or I have a lot of Zoom calls, and next thing I know, I forgot to eat. And you don't want to do that. You need to regulate your blood sugar and make sure you're packing in as many nutrients as possible. So now this is all stirred in. And I'm going to use a pastry bag. This is just a small pastry bag. You can order these on Amazon. You could probably use a plastic Ziploc bag as well. I'm kind of old school when it comes to the pastry thing, so I'm using a pastry bag. Just gonna scoop up this filling and put it right into the bag. And I turn the top of the bag down a little bit to make a cuff, and that way when I fold it back up again, it's nice and clean. You don't have it squeezing out of the top of the bag that way. Fill the bag. Push it down. And now we're just gonna cut the end off with the scissors at about a ½ inch mark. Just like that. I'll get these guys out of the way so you can see how I fill these. I've got them ready to go in this pretty little dish. And I'm just gonna squeeze and stop. Once it's full and kind of mounded, stop squeezing and cut it off. Squeeze and stop. Squeeze and stop. That's how we get around And if there's a little air pocket, just go back and fill it in. Like Julia Child used to say, nobody knows unless they're in the kitchen watching you. There you go. And the last thing, which is what makes it green eggs and ham, I cooked a little bit of uncured, no sugar bacon. I like the Nature's Ranch brand. There's a brand called Maverick you can find in most grocery stores, Applegate. I just cooked it and let it cool, crumbled it up, and that's the ham. And we're just gonna top these little deviled eggs, or green eggs and ham as I like to call them. And let me tell you something, I have taken these to people's houses as an appetizer for parties and things like that, and people go crazy. They don't know it's Whole30, they don't know it's paleo, they just love it. All the flavors are amazing. Top this with a little Maldon sea salt, and then you get that nice crunch along with the bacon. And that's it. Delish and Nutrish. So today we had these green eggs and hams, a nice hearty mug of agua lemon soup, which is a great way to have your bone broth. I'm really sorry, technical difficulties. The egg foo young didn't come out. I'll try and finish it on my real stove and post some pictures later. And finally, the shakshuka, which you can do vegetarian or with some meat, the delicious lettuce or cauliflower rice, whatever you want to use as the base underneath. Try these recipes. Let me know how you like them. Don't forget to look for me at livingdelishandnutrish.com. We are 1 week into our Whole30, so go team. I'm really proud of my group so far, and I hope we can hang in there. I hope this is some inspiration for you, and I look forward to seeing everyone soon. Thanks again. Have a great day.